Alrighty, so let's go over the more boutique option. This is Lloyd Evans writing in The Spectator, or The Sextator as it should be called, under the headline, My Surprisingly Decent Proposal. It begins like this. Like being chained to a lunatic. That's how a man feels in relation to his libido. And the lunatic latches on to anything, irrationally and without warning. In Cambridge recently, I dropped into a lecture given by a beautiful historian, Leia Yippie from Albania, whose discourse included the observation about revolutionaries. Once they attain power, they lose all interest in revolution. Good point. Her blonde hair spilling over her shoulders absorbed far more of my attention than her political reflections, and I was desperate to speak to her afterwards, but I had no way to orchestrate a meeting. I'm going to say I don't think you should name check the woman who inspired you to get
No.
your shit jacked off at
No.
a sort of hand job parlor. I don't think you should put her on blast.
Yeah. Even if you just acknowledge it, and I didn't know what to do because I have no fucking game.
Yeah, it's just sort of like I don't think you need to write an article about like I met the most gorgeous, intelligent, and stunning woman the other day. I tried to strike up a conversation with her, but instead I simply went home and beat off my shit furiously, imagining sexual congress with her. And then just like naming that person seems a little bit rude to me, but this guy is British, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So he says, I was desperate to speak to her afterwards, but I had no way to orchestrate a meeting. Instead, I headed for the rougher end of Cambridge, near the railway terminus, where misfits and outcasts gather. Is there a rough part of Cambridge? This is where they steal your lunch money if you walk if you walk after hours. So it goes here. I'd already arranged a social rendezvous at a private business location. Here's how it works. You hand over a roll of banknotes to a concierge at a desk who ushers you into a softly lit room where your companion awaits you. Mine was petite, black-haired, and buxom. Shea, she called herself. She looked Chinese rather than Irish.
No wonder he's all over crying. The place.
Yeah, this guy works all nonstop.
I mean, they're probably both from, have connections to Moldova.
It says here, Shea, she called herself. She looked Chinese rather than Irish, but you never know these days, so I asked her which part of Ireland she came from. Shanghai, she told me. I lay naked on the couch and she rubbed hot wax into my shoulders, a ritual that gives these assignations an air of medical respectability. A moment later, she ordered me to flip on my back as she dimmed the lights and raised one eyebrow at me suggestively. This was the cue for negotiations. The money at the desk stays at the desk, and Shay made a separate deal with the client. Her opening bid was the same as the cost of my overnight hotel, so I made a lower offer, £20 less. She accepted it. Then
You're haggling?
He's haggling with a prostitute.
Well, that is, I'm sorry. That's incredibly rude. What we figured out this far is this man has absolutely no manners.
It reminds me of was it like Winston Churchill was like one of his famous quips was like, asking a woman, would you have sex with me for $5? And she said, my God, no. And then she was like, how about £1 million? And she was like, And then he's like, well, we've already determined your status, ma'am. We are merely quibbling on the price. This is like the reversed version of that.
Did Winston Churchill say that, or is that like Tucker Max?
It's
like that sounds like it's from like a Dane Cook movie.
Yeah, it's attributed to him.
Also, come on. A one-off for $1 million does not a prostitute make.
Yeah.
That's not a pro. That's a fucking year. That's a semester abroad.
That's just someone with good business mindset. This is he's haggling with the woman who's going to rub him off. So he offers £20 less. She accepted it. Then a crisis emerged. I'd surrendered most of my cash and I was down to one measly $5. Not enough. And I just forfeited my ATM card to a greedy machine that gobbled it up. As for my uncooperative iPhone, I've never convinced it to pay for anything. I offered to fetch my laptop from my hotel and to transfer the money when I got back. This guy is down bad. This guy is down abysmally. This is insane.
He's like, you're trying to get a fucking
I'm going to take an hour trip.
and then you're Googling how send PDF. Like, I don't understand how you don't prepare for this situation. There's got to be something in a Rick Steves guide or something.
Has anyone like had the ATM eat their card since 1984?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't even heard of that happening to anyone except this guy.
I mean, I think he probably does this often. I think he probably goes to massage parlors and pulls the old "my ATM card was eaten. Can you accept these coupons in exchange for your services?" Yeah, he probably does this all the time. This is probably, and he's like, "Oh, I'd be happy to I'd be happy to take an hour trip back to my hotel room." Yeah,
He comes and dashes. He's a come and dash. Yeah.
yeah. But it says here, I offered to fetch my laptop from my hotel and to transfer the money when I got back. What he's gonna do? Can I get your routing number, madam, to do a wire transfer to your bank account?
That is dine and dash fucking like behavior.
Yeah,
There is no way this woman is that fucking dumb. I bet there's got to be 50 million Reddits on this. There's no way he came in unprepared. This is just his way of being a cheap bastard.
Yeah, like if you're like not only horny enough, but like you clearly don't feel any shame about this. Like I would think that like a big part of doing this is that you like at least feel bad, but he doesn't even feel bad enough to not haggle. But like I would think at least if you were this into it, you would come with the cash that you need.
Yeah, well, he's treating it like he's a jolly flaneur. He basically did it for the boring think piece.
Did the Spectator reimburse him? That's what I want to know. Did he submit an invoice to his editor at the Spectre for one rub and tug, sir? So it says here, but Shea didn't like that idea. She refused to let me leave. Yeah, I'll fucking bet.
She didn't like that idea.
Yeah. Fearing that my lucrative custom might slip through her fingers. This struck me as bizarre. Where else would I go? I couldn't imagine a better pastime than a brisk workout with the lovely Shay, who was about 48 years old. He's saying how old she is in this, too. Jesus Christ, this guy has no shame and is just I
also hate, calling it a workout is like kind of betraying what a sedentary slug you are. Like, look, I burned 5 calories fucking coming in my own eye. That's my workout for the day.
Yeah, it's the only thing that can make jacking off even more of a passive activity.
Yeah. Using someone
You're not
else's
even
hand.
getting any arm work.
Yeah.
So
what are this guy? What other articles has this guy written?
Okay, all right.
I'm just stuff like this.
Okay, I'm clicking on his profile at the Spectator. This is the Llyod Evans archives. Player Kings proves that Shakespeare can be funny. Rishi gets witty at PMQs. Why is the National engaged in this tedious act of defamation of the Brontes? Exhilarating. MJ the musical reviewed.
That's the other thing he's trying. I was absolutely right. He's trying to position himself as like a sophisticate, like he's a flaneur about town. He's getting jerked off on the Algonquin Round Table.
I know. If he wanted to be like the leading lights of like 19th century European literature, he should get tertiary syphilis and then slit his own throat, like many of the greats did. Guy de Maupassant. He goes, okay. So he says, Shea, who was about 48 years old, still can't believe he's including that detail. I would guess, so he's guessing. I would guess, and had a crooked smile, which I find far more attractive than those ultra white Hollywood teeth that look like pieces of Lego. So he's saying she's 48 years old and has bad teeth. This is how he feels about this woman. At her suggestion, we went ahead anyway, and the issue of payment was left unresolved. I appreciated that. She trusted me. As we got dressed afterwards, she complimented me on my old walking shoes. Thank you, I said, feeling baffled that she'd chosen to praise my sorry-looking boots rather than my lean and toned physique. Then she turned shyly towards me with her...
Yeah, that was baffling, sir. I was baffled.
Then she turned shyly toward me with her pale tummy exposed. I'm fat, she said mournfully. I sprang instantly to reassure her. Not fat, beautiful, I said, smoothing my palm tenderly across her stomach. Lovely, pretty, gorgeous, I added, spraying out synonyms in the hopes of finding a word that lay within the compass of her understanding. He's talking to her like a fucking, she's
like a dumb baby.
Tummy good, girl, beautiful. This is like the Israeli political parties.
No, this is like the conversations between Swearingen and Mr. Wu.
San Francisco, Cambridge cocksucker.
Yeah, glad I taught you that fucking word.
Yeah.
You know what? I still think he has a terrible physique. I think this is complete bullshit. The fact that he's too lazy to jerk off his own shit. He's like, why didn't she compliment my physique? I bet he's one of those guys who's like either really, really stringy British, or like just fat that he insists is muscle, and she's just trying to find a way to compliment something. Just like I gotta find something that sounds nice. And you know what? The reason she probably let you do it and decided you weren't going to dine and dash is because she thought she could outrun you.
have to make this guy's little eel throw up. Ugh, disgusting. Continuing on, it says, she seems satisfied. As we padded about, tugging our clothes back on, I realized we were like a long married couple observing the conventions of mutual respect and cooperation.
Oh,
We'd known each other for 17 minutes. Yeah. We'd known each other for 17 minutes, and yet the grooves of domestic harmony, so etched into the human character, brought our disunited interests together and gave our small talk an ease and familiarity. Back in 10 minutes, I told her...
If you are like the couple from Monty Python's Meaning of Life, the Protestant one.
Yeah. I could use a French tickler anytime I want. So it says here, she might have been any suburban housewife en route to play bridge or hear a performance by an amateur Handel society. She was surprised to see me, which I found disheartening. She thought I was a swindler. I opened my laptop and asked her to put her bank deals into my Santander account on the new payee page. She spelled her name XE, as it turned out, and her second name had just 3 letters. Her sort code and her reference details indicated that she held a bank account with HSBC. Yeah, like he's just like he's just like giving her account number. He's one step away from giving her fucking bank number.
We know her age, what she looks like, how long she has been with HSBC, her real name. Like,
but it's all just like that's not the information. He's like, well, I have to name details, and like first it's just like dumb bitch, fucking like amateur Handel society. By the way, I've included her fingerprints at the bottom of this article.
And by the way, the name of her first pet was Sandy, and her least favorite subject in her grade school was arithmetic. So this year, I invited her to type in the fee that I owed, and she'd entered the lowered amount with the 20 pound discount. I gallantly deleted this and offered the larger sum she had initially quoted. She giggled and stroked my elbow affectionately. The casual caress made me feel heroic and magnificent for some reason. One last detail was needed. Payment reference. I suggested fun, but Shea had other ideas. Wedding gifts, she said, laughing, rubbing my shoulder again. Was this a marriage proposal? Sort of, yes, but I pretended she'd just made a throwaway joke. My bank approved the payment, and she smiled as I headed for the door. See you next time, she said. I'd like that, I said. No doubt she spoke insincerely, but I didn't. I meant it privately, secretly. The lunatic I'm chained to is invisible, thank God.
Gallantly. He said he gallantly didn't stiff the hooker. Like, yes, oh, so gallant. And it's like, yeah, she gave you a fucking discount because she wanted a repeat customer.
Well, you know what? As long as we're on this tip and we still have some extra time, would you like to hear from Rabbi Shmuley about the connection between sexual repression and anti-Semitism?
Always.
Rabbi Shmuley, he's been killing it lately. I mean, honestly, I think he's probably one of the top. I mean, if you're talking about top rabbis in the United States, you're talking about the GOAT rabbis. Rabbi Shmuley's in the conversation. There's Mosaic. He's the MJ of rabbis. And then like Rabbi Shmuley, he's the LeBron. But some of y'all aren't ready for that conversation. This is Rabbi Shmuley Biotek writing in the New Jersey Jewish News. He wants to know, is there a connection between sexual repression and anti-Semitism? Strange question, right? But is there? I'm just going to skip ahead for a little bit. He says here, he starts bitching about Norman Finkelstein, but he says, all these debates had 3 things in common. First, they were watched by vast audiences, cumulatively probably more than 30 million people. Second, each opponent told the most disgusting lies and offered the most poisonous blood libels about Jews. And third, here is where it gets weird. Nearly every single one attacked me viciously for my international best-selling book, Kosher Sex, and the marital aid company of the same name that my daughter Chana, an IDF veteran, set up in Israel.
Wait, his daughter's like a dildo salesman?
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
How did I miss this one?
Yeah, she sells marital aids to make kosher sex, all that much more hot and dirty.
They're all wearing wigs.
The dildos. So it says here, just going on. I was astonished at the sexual prudishness of my opponents and how much they indulged attacks about Jews and sex. Indeed, I was unprepared for just how obsessed about each was about Jews and sex in general. Their attacks were constant. Why did you write your books Kosher Sex, Kosher Lust, the Kosher Sutra, Kosher Adultery, etc., etc.? And why is your daughter selling products that enhance intimacy and passion between married monogamous couples? I like that her dildo company is like, you need a marriage license to buy one of these marital aids, because otherwise, it's not just like anyone can stick a silicone dick in their pussy or ass, but you have to. This has to be in the confines of a monogamous kosher marriage.
Yeah, it has to be blessed by a rabbi. There's a whole process. Each one, it can't touch both cheese and meat. It's
Someone has to bite the tip off. I guess going says, and that's what anti-Semites hate the most about us Jews, that we always choose life. Why do Hamas, Iran, Hezbollah, and all the other Islamist sickos hate us so much? Because no matter how much they pledge to spill our blood, we continue to choose life. Israel is filled with cafes, restaurants, museums, universities, parks, and children's playground. Gaza, by contrast, well, before Israel's invasion last year, was just a giant garbage dump. I know because I was personally there with the Reverend Al Sharpton in October of 2001.
Yeah, I wonder how it got that way.
I shouldn't be laughing about this because of how fucking evil it is, but I just love you saying, I know Gaza is a garbage dump. Al Sharpton took me there in 2001.
Yeah, by the way, you all hating us because our dick's too big. Jewish perverts fucking rule. I mean, I agree, but...
What magazine is this for?
This is for the Jewish Times of New Jersey.
The Jewish Rapist. The new quarterly from Condé Nast.
Jewish worker. Jewish rapist.
It just, it would already be bad enough if, the article was just, I invented having sex for 9 hours while my daughter designs a butt plug using a paper mache thing of my asshole. But
I need that Shmuley fleshlight.
Add on top of that, did you know Israel has Starbucks? Did you? Yeah. We have Build-A-Bear, and that's why they hate us. He has a literary lazy eye. He can't stay on one disgusting thing for long enough.
Well, okay, Felix, I'm glad you clocked that, because this article, I mean, it's not done. It goes some even more amusing places. So he said, yeah, Gaza is a garbage dump. Al Sharpton showed it to me, and he says the same is true of many other places that were once beautiful, like Lebanon and Beirut, the Paris of the Middle East, which today are essentially piles of rubble. No shit, asshole.
Just all these places that Israel
has attacked for the last fucking half century. But no, his literary lazy eye continues to wander. Anti-Semites are the most miserable wretches on earth. Their only joy is in making sure that you have no joy. That's why little by little, all these disgusting anti-Israel protests and marches are backfiring. These miserable people are making the lives of everyday Americans absolutely miserable. Next paragraph. Larry David just ended his 24-year run of the most successful comedy on TV. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yes, he plays a curmudgeon, but it's all about making you laugh. Notice how some of the world's greatest comics and wits are Jews, and how so much of their humor is about taking everyday misery and learning to laugh at it. Like Woody Allen. Yes, I know, not the best example right now, or Rodney Dangerfield.
Those are very weird examples, not just because of Woody Allen. One, you could have found an alive one, like a living Jew. And two, why are you drawing? I mean, I guess he's very pro-sex. I guess that's what he's coming. That's a callback.
I told my wife the other day, they're dropping food on Gaza. My wife told me the other day, hey, why don't you try getting in the kitchen and dropping some food on me? I tell you, I can't get no respect. It says here, who are the Jews? Who are the Jews? The nation that has learned not just to survive persecution, but to flourish. What is Israel? The most irrationally hated nation on earth that was simultaneously, according to the 2024 World Happiness Report released last month, just voted the 5th happiest country in the world. And this is despite the war in Gaza and the October 7th massacre. And now you see why all these reptiles whom I've debated or gotten fired, like Candace Owens, hate Jewish sex more than anything else. Because Jewish sex is not only that which keeps our nation surviving, quite literally, but thriving, quite literally as well. That is some great writing. DJ, run that back. And now you see why all these reptiles whom I've debated or gotten fired, like Candace Owens, hate Jewish sex more than anything else, because Jewish sex is not only that which keeps our nation surviving, quite literally, but thriving, quite literally as well. The use of quite literally
is because I'm getting that Shoshana pussy. That's like the weirdest.
This is like if you were trying to make like guys in North Dakota who'd never met a Jewish person like blow up the nearest synagogue with a bunch of fertilizer, you would write this article. It literally goes, the people I've gotten fired are jealous of my Me Too exploits that I do with my daughter. What the fuck is this?
It's still not over. It says here, Judaism is the only religion on earth that says that sex is not just for procreation, surviving, but for intimacy, thriving. As the book of Genesis says, 2:24, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, he shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh.
Oh, fucking love getting cleaved.
Yeah, it's the only religion where people have families. And no other religion like tells you to have a family. He's right.
And that's why so many anti-Semites attack my book, Kosher Sex, and my daughter Chana's company of the same name. Because both are clear distillation of that most essential of ideas, that Judaism wants us to celebrate life, that Judaism doesn't believe that men and women marry primarily to have children, but to feel alive in each other's companies and to make love. And that life is meant to be lived at the mountain summit and not just in the deep, dark valleys. The holiest book of the Hebrew Bible is something that is anathema to the average miserable anti-Semite who hates life and all of his fellow human creatures. The Song of Solomon is an erotic lust poem that describes the burning yearning between a man and a woman. Your breasts are like two fawns, like twin fawns of a gazelle that browse among the lilies. Your stature is like that of the palm, and your breasts are like clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree, I will take hold of its fruit. For us Jews, lust is hot, sexy, and holy. The 10th commandment is clear. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, which means, by direct implication, you ought to be coveting your own.
That isn't what covet means.
Can you speak here though? Like, okay, if a fella approaches you and says your breasts remind me of gazelles, your breasts remind me of gazelles. I want to eat your fruit. She's got a great gazelle.
I gotta say, yeah, doesn't hold up. Probably very horny for the time. I'm okay.
Yeah,
put it in context. Yeah. There must have been a huge gazelle thing at the time.
No, but Felix, I agree with you. What I like most about Shmuley's writing is not just his use of repetition as a literary device, but just how sort of generous he is with the digressions in which his anger at people making fun of his daughter's butt plug company seem to take.
Yeah, he will not let that go. He that is probably the most consistent theme in all of this. That he debated 3 or 4 people who were like, "Hey, how come you make fuck swings with your daughter? Why did you do that?"
I mean, she probably doesn't want this heat either. She's probably just like, "Dad, shut the fuck up, please."
Actually,
this is not the image I want for. She's into it.
No, she's into it, and the only thing she's not into is having black Jews in Israel. That's one thing she's totally opposed to. If you
woo.
So yeah. Judaism is the only religion that is make sure that sex is about having a good time, not just having children, and that's why everyone who opposes Israel should be killed. We need to call in the National Guard to stop the occupations of the butt plug factory.
This is way more egregious than when Israelis act like they invented irrigation.
Yeah,
that's bad enough.
We invented the nooner.
Yeah. Afternoon Delight is an ancient Jewish hymn.
Was it Gore Vidal said about Henry Miller is that he had sex in the afternoon one time and thought he invented it? Yeah, that's Rabbi Shmuley.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that does it. I hope you enjoyed the second half of this episode, the sex chat about sex and paying for it or not, or having a family. You'll be paying for it one way or the other as long as you have fun, everybody. But please don't haggle with your sex worker.
Rude.
Just agree on the
Have some
just
fucking
really
class.
And also don't dox them by sharing their name, social security number, date of birth, and address in your column for the Spectator.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Awful, man.
Yeah, I think that this is what sums up today's episode. Ugh. Oh God.
I'm glad you're saying that because I feel like I'm like, did I come into this just grumpy? But it's no, I think it was like a perpetual sort of parade of disgust. But I'm glad we ended on what we did. I think we went in the correct order, because at least with this one we can we got some butt plug content, which is just it's just always funny. It's never not funny. The two words combined, hilarious.
Chapo Trap House butt plugs will be available soon at chapotraphouse.com/merch.